Welcome to Invest. We talk about investing, finance, and professional development. That's the current time of 10:46 a.m. on Eastern Time on Feb 6 on Monday. Hope you guys had a great weekend and also happy February. Ethereum $100,627, about 0.07% so far. On the overall crypto market and equity market, as of this Monday morning so far, we are relatively muted, not really moving up or down. With respect to the upcoming catalyst within this week, we are going to be getting more corporate earnings, obviously, for Q4 depiction. But with respect to tomorrow, Jerome Powell is expected to give a speech tomorrow. Obviously, the post-mortem effects on the FOMC meeting was relatively positive. We got the 25 basis points, progression from the previous catalysts have been experiencing in a chronological perspective, starting from 25 basis point, 50 basis point, 3 times of 75 basis point. The last one we had was 50 basis point, and the latest one was 25 basis point. So you could, if you think about this in a graphical perspective, it's kind of like an upside down type of U shape, a bell curve, if you may. And with that bell curve, it means that the peak of inflation might technically has been kind of baked into the market front. But tomorrow, because of the fact that we technically did have some sort of a bear market rally, obviously the later part of last week, Thursday and Friday, and as I have told you guys, I have sold quite a good amount of stocks in my holding. Not because of a specific reason fundamentally, it's because of the more of a tactical perspective that I took the approach of when it's highly extended. It just makes sense to take some off the table, which is something I did. And tomorrow is more of depictions on the outlook of the economy, right? The FOMC meetings talk about the I guess the at the time, based on historical affectation. But with respect to this speech coming, I think in addition to just like recapping what has happened so far, but also with respect to what will be happening in the upcoming seasons as well. So in addition to that, earnings is also something that is kind of in order. So we will be seeing more news and verbiage coming out from corporate companies, and obviously we will also have to be hedging against media affectation as well. So on top of the fact that we understand that the COVID situation might technically be more of a secondary factor now, but it's still lingering across the spectrum. People are less cautious and it's less in your face on a media front perspective, but it's still happening in certain regions of the world, right? There's still some lockdown here and there. And last but not least, with respect to tax season, it's still something that we need to kind of be aware of. And then the one last black swan news that we need to understand is the Adani Group, which is an Indian investment firm. And it seems like there's been some scandal going on. And with that scandal happening, it's been freezing a lot of Indian financial circulations that has been happening before. A lot of just heads like kind of pencils down at the moment. Because I do personally work with a fund out of India, and they did tell me that they don't foresee themselves to be doing any specific transactions or any deals in the near term until the Adani Group scandal or conspiracy kind of subside from there. So that's another news that we kind of have to think about. So let's just dive into the news front before we head on to obviously the technicals. So take a look at the news front. It seems like, again, right, based on what we have talked about so far, we are hedging against the latest corporate earnings, which will be happening across the spectrum this week. The Fed's chair speech, which is going to be happening tomorrow, so we might see some lingering on news. In addition to that, we know that the Adani scandal, it seems like it's further kind of cultivating, and it's a developing news that we need to kind of be aware of. We don't know exactly what is happening and what's the exposure so far, but we know that minimally is $100 billion. It could technically be as exposed as $800 billion, which is a lot of money. So as they liquidate or they get seized, it can drive a massive dampening effect onto the market front. So okay, so let's dive into the Wales reports before we dive into the technical fronts. because it's been a while since we last took a look at this together. So BlackRock did do a relatively sizable sale day. They sold 23, I would say $24 billion worth of stocks in Broadcom as of Friday. 18 billion in ASML. Wow, that's a lot. So it seems like they do go off like a relatively high spending spree. I think it's because of the reversal that we saw collectively in the last couple of days. And also with respect to ARK Invest, it seems like they took the same approach as well. They definitely saw some, fishiness with respect to the bullish run that we've seen recently. And again, right, the depiction is still more of a bear run, a bear rally in a bear market. We're not in a bull market yet. People are still thinking that we are, but ultimately, we need to see the upcoming FOMC meeting. We need to see how the efficacy of the rate hikes has been doing. It seems like a lot of lingering factors still up in the air. So but with respect to crypto, it's been relatively sticky around the level of 1650. But we are below 1650 with 1632. So that means we're elongating. At the same time, the daily we are at the 60 out of 70, so we are basically in between of 1550, which is more substantive than 1650 because like first of all we're below it, and as you're below the level of 1650, we're more likely to go down to the next substantive level. So the likelihood of actually coming back down to like 1450 to like 1350 would not be a surprise to us, knowing the fact that the daily and weekly are quite extended, right? The monthly is still kind of bullish, but we need to kind of cross down before we cross up, right? Like I mentioned, Bitcoin is 23,000 flat right now. On a daily, we are looking quite like a good separation. We are landing at 61 out of 70, quite extended to be honest with you. On a weekly, we are also just as extended. We're a little bit less extended on the weekly front, but still relatively elongated, and we do need to have some sort of a correction coming. And I think tomorrow's verbiage, from Jerome Powell, if it's lean more toward the negative side of the spectrum, I would not be surprised if we were to kind of pop the balloon from here. On a monthly, again, right, we are relatively good on this front, but again, months out, right? So we need to kind of fix the near term, the daily and weekly before we run up from here. On the EV side, Tesla is very extended. You could see that on the daily, we are at the 73 out of 70, so I don't suggest buying at these levels. Weekly is a little bit more muted, but obviously, right, you could see that the run up we have had so far has been relatively elongated. So I don't suggest so. I think tomorrow might be a pop the balloon affectation. On the NEO side of the equation, daily is very muted, so it's actually trading quite opposite to Tesla. I guess it's because of the Chinese lockdown, and also obviously Q1 for auto companies in China is more muted as well. Right now it's down 3%. We are getting bounced at the 43. So I think right now with the death cross, which we have kind of transacted with the red candle that we see in front of us, on the weeks out, we do need to cross down as well. So seeing coming down to a lower level like $9.50 again would not be a surprise. And on the monthly, we are looking to cross up eventually. You could see that clearly we do have this like separation that is quite elongated. So that means on a monthly out, we are looking to see some bullish rally coming. On the Ethereum again, right? So I think the marching order for tomorrow is really just like watch out for the speech. If we see some like negativity tomorrow, I think the level to watch out for will be again right 1550, 1450. And with respect to Bitcoin, that's somewhere closer down to let's zoom in a little bit more. Somewhere closer down to like 21,500 all the way to 2,500 respectively. So those are the levels to watch out for. And I think are we out of the bear market? I would say no. We're still like kind of pending, and the bull market will need to see more progression. And I based on just one report, one FOMC meeting, it doesn't really convey a substantive message based on what we've learned so far. So we have to kind of watch out how this will all kind of go through going forward. But I appreciate you. Have a good day, and I will check you on the next one. Take care. Bye.